Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. We want to help you become a church communications expert. We understand it's a challenging and ever-changing role because we worked in the church too, which is why we built a community of over 30,000 church leaders that are ready to support and cheer you on. Your hosts for the show are Katie Allred, Kenny Jahng, with special guest host from the church communications team. They're here to help you and equip you to better reach your community. We'll talk shop with practitioners, professionals, and communications experts about what's working, what's not, and what's next.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Church Communications Podcast. My name is Abby, and today I am joined again by our friend Julie. Today we're going to be talking about another way to engage your congregation and serve your community. Julie, thanks for being back with us today.
Delighted to be here. Always fun to be with you, Abby.
Yes, it's always so fun to have you on. Today we're going to be talking about meal delivery, right? That's our topic for today.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So as we get into it, I do just want to touch on the fact that this is a really simple way to serve people in terms of it doesn't take a whole lot of time or investment. It takes a meal, cooking a meal and taking it to someone. And maybe people may think this is just like a small thing. Maybe it's not worth doing with a lot of preparation or intention. But if you've ever had someone bring a meal to you, you know how impactful that is. And if you've been on the other end trying to organize a group of people to deliver meals to someone, you know it actually does take a lot of coordination.
Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely on both sides. I know. So we have two sons, and they're both quote grown-ups now. They're in their 20s. But boy, when they were born, we had people bring us meals, and I actually have no idea who organized it, but people just started doing it, and it was amazing because I had gone from working in tech straight up until 10 o'clock on the Friday night, and all of a sudden I had a baby on Monday.
Oh my gosh.
And and I thought I was the boss and it was going to be easy, and I was absolutely exhausted. And I was like, oh, I did international travel. This is going to be a piece of cake. And I was wiped. And anyway, during that fussy time between 5 and 6 p.m., to not have to be making a dinner and then to have a delicious dinner delivered. I still remember one that my friend Kelly brought. She brought filet mignon and mashed potatoes all in little separate containers. And it was absolute heaven because there was no chance that we were making anything like that other than maybe mac and cheese. And this is all pre-DoorDash, pre-Uber Eats. So it was McDonald's or something horrible from our pantry. So I'm just saying, this can be, as we say, we've got a post on it, it's for jubilation or tribulation. These are happy times, happy times, but you're wiped out. So it can be wonderful.
Yeah, certainly. And I love we're here 20 years later. You remember Kelly, what she brought you, how amazing it was, and what a relief it was that you didn't have to prepare it.
Oh, yeah. It just heaven. Absolutely.
Yeah. And in terms of DoorDash and Uber Eats, they do exist now, and that is amazing. But there's just something about a hot home cooked meal that's delivered to you by a friend, someone who knows you. It's just a little bit different, I think.
Well, I think my mom cooked a lot, baked a lot in particular growing up. And both my sisters and I do the same now. And there's something, for me, you're really giving of yourself when you're doing that. And obviously there are books written on this, right? About, the art of cooking and this whole process of, your own kind of therapy or catharsis in cooking and thinking about the person as you're doing it and then delivering it. So I feel like it's much more a gift at the heart. Of course, it's lovely if someone orders you a meal and has it delivered, but if they're actually making it, they're spending the time, they're thinking about you in the process. And I just think it's very meaningful.
I completely agree. And it's also a really good way to engage different members of your congregation and maybe connect them with each other who may not otherwise have an occasion to interact, especially if you're in a really large church. So absolutely.
And a great way to do that in an intergenerational way too, I think, which is lovely. And I think, again, I look at my mom who's 84 and she's a fantastic cook. boy, she could sure take a meal to someone, but, maybe volunteering her time, at the prison or something would not be the best fit for her at her age. So she could feel like she's contributing and having some impact and some engagement. So
certainly. And I also love that you mentioned it's in times of jubilation and tribulation.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like that phrasing, because I feel like people's first instinct when they think of taking meals, it's only in times of maybe the loss of a loved one or following a major surgery or something. But it can just be a good way to connect with people when good things are happening. The birth of a baby, or maybe a family has recently adopted a child. That comes with a lot of change, and a lot of your focus is scattered, right? Or maybe even in times when people, maybe they're just going through a transition. They've just moved, or maybe they've lost a job or changed jobs, just major life events. Yeah. Everybody's got to eat sometime, it's just, that is one common thing. It's something we all have in common. Everybody needs to eat, and it takes some stress away from everything else that's happening in your life if you're not having to think about, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight?
Absolutely. And you picked up on one, which is moving. I mean, let's say someone's just moved in and maybe has started, or is just in the process of moving, and maybe has come to your church and is wanting to join your congregation. And we've moved a lot in our lives, my husband and I, and moving is not cool, I don't think. And I was thinking of some other words to use, but moving in is hard, moving out is hard. So, if you've got someone moving in and you can say, hey, we'd love to have a couple people bring you dinner. We're not going to interrupt what you're doing. We're just going to drop it off so you can have a nice, healthy meal and sit down as a family, because we know you don't have time for this right now. Man, if you guys, if you did that for 3, 4, 5 days, wow, what a welcome to the new community, right?
Absolutely. And I'm thinking in terms of just unpacking logistics, maybe you haven't even stocked your pantry. You don't know where your plates and forks are.
Yeah, where the pots and pans
are.
Yeah.
That just really, you don't even have to worry about that. They're bringing everything to you. And you touched on something that I think is important to note as we consider all of these factors that are involved when planning a meal delivery train, process, group, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes the recipient may want the company of those who are bringing food. Like, say it is a new mom and she's been stuck inside with her newborn for 3 weeks and she feels like she's going crazy. She may want some company when the people bring her food, or it may be someone who is in the middle of moving and unpacking. They're busy, or someone who's just had surgery and may not feel up for entertaining guests. So communicating these needs to make sure that we are serving people as effectively as possible without having to worry like I just feel like I wouldn't want to be rude. Like, I don't want to run off, but I also don't want to get in your way. So like that's definitely something to consider and be aware of.
Right. And I think that's a really good point to make for whoever is the organizer, to clearly say to the meal recipient person, hey, talk to me, be honest with me. Do you want people to stay or not? If you don't, then I'm going to write it into the description of our sign up list and just say, hey, super buried right now, or really tough to get out of bed, or whatever it is. And please just drop off and go. And actually to that point, I have the pleasure of volunteering once a week for Meals on Wheels. And it's done way more for me than I think the people to whom I drop off the meals, just because it feels so good. But they have a great process in that they've got, a cooler, and then they've got the hot bags, and they just use like a pizza plate. I'm not using the right word there, but to keep the warm things warm, and then just one of those little ice things to keep the cooler stuff cool. But I think it might be worth a church buying just one of each of those, and then whoever the recipient is, just drop that off at their house, and then the person could actually have a note on the door that says, "Thanks so much. Please put in the vessels below, the containers below," right? Because then the person could actually control it each time if they wanted to, or not have the sign there and not have that sitting out. So you could do that and really be helpful to the person who's receiving it, I think.
No, certainly. I think that is an excellent plan. And actually, for me personally, I was in a situation once someone was organizing meals. I was living with a bunch of little kids, volunteering, and it was a live-in for the summer type of camp situation, right? And so that was one of the nicest things is we had a cooler set outside and we had people bringing us dinner every evening, and it kept the kids from knowing, right? Because if the kids heard someone knock at the door, or if they knew that the food had been delivered to the kitchen, they were running in, they were going crazy, getting so excited, oh, we're going to eat dinner. But just the person would drop it off in the cooler. Someone on our team would get a text, go out and get it, bring it in the back way. So that way it just didn't cause all of that disruption. So I completely agree. I think it is totally worth a church investing, or you probably don't even have to buy one. Someone in your church probably has a nice,
or someone will donate it, or
absolutely.
Sure. And they're not, horribly expensive. So I think you could probably take up a collection for it to make it
agree. So. I love that note. I think that's awesome. Yeah. But also some of just the other factors that you do need to consider when planning a meal delivery train are, when is food needed? Not just dates, but times as well, in terms of, different families, different schedules, what's the most logical thing. Not everybody eats dinner at the same time. So that's something to consider. How many meals are needed? Is it every day? Is it breakfast, lunch, dinner? Just dinner every other day? And also, are there food allergies or sensitivities that people need to be aware of when they're preparing food for you? So this is a lot of details to consider, and you want to make sure that your organizer communicates very clearly with the recipient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can cover all of those things in our single sign-up sheet. So that makes it very handy.
Yes. Let's get into the details and talk about the best way to set up and organize a sign-up form using PlanHero, which if you're not familiar with PlanHero, Julie's software, go back. We actually have a PlanHero introduction episode, and we'll be sure to link that in the show notes because it gives some really great background on this software. It's amazing, and it works so well. So she's going to walk us through and show us how to create a meal delivery sign-up form. So if you're listening to this on audio, check it out on YouTube. You can watch the whole process, but we'll be talking you through it as well.
Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen.
Perfect.
And I'll show you how fast this can be. And what I did here is I've set up a draft. I'm just on the PlanHero dashboard right now, and I just set up a draft ahead of time that had a title and the name of the church and then a description in it, just so that, again, you don't have to watch me type. And in this example, I just said, hey, the Lincoln family needs our help. And I wrote about them losing their home due to the flood. And we are Santa Barbara based, and we actually had a horrible mudslide due to an abundance of rain, and a whole bunch of people lost their homes in a flood. And all of a sudden it's just, okay, I'm homeless or living in a hotel, or someone's maybe giving me a room, but the meals can be really helpful, especially like if they, maybe insurance is paying for a hotel, but maybe not for food or whatever, or the money comes later, all of that. So natural disasters are another, unfortunately, good time to have meal delivery. So
definitely. And I wanted to ask you about that. It's very quick to set up correctly. Like in terms of maybe an emergency situation like this, it doesn't take a lot of back end setup. Like we can just create this and get this out as soon as someone is in need, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about minutes. Right. So it's really fast. I mean, this is just, typing a little note in. And one thing you mentioned, different people have different food issues. So if I wanted to plop a link in here or something of, hey, the oldest daughter is vegetarian. Here are some ideas for vegetarian meals or something, like you could go online or better yet, ask the family, hey, what are some great resources for vegetarian meals, and put a link in here, because if you're not a vegetarian, you may not be that great at, or particularly vegan, at creating those meals. So there are lots of places online, but if people have some favorites, go ahead and plop those links in here so that you're making it easy on the people signing up.
I love that. That really takes the guesswork out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm just clicking on adding dates and locations here. So let's see that, well, this is the I guess I've got the flood in here, but so if it's immediately, then we want to start tomorrow. And in the start and end time, what I would do is plop in probably something like 5:30 to 6 p.m. and with the idea of that being the drop-off time.
Right.
So that's nice so that it's predictable for the family. So of course the organizer would want to check in with the family to see if they're early eaters, late eaters, whatever. And then I click this recurring button, pick my end date. So let's say we're going to do this for a week. And then I would just say that that's repeating every day like that.
Okay,
so
that's
now
nice.
we're going to have
So
all
we
those
don't have
days.
to create each individual day. It's not a different
No.
step. We're just
No, not at all. And if you wanted it to be every other day, then you could just, do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday like that.
Very flexible.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So time zone would be whatever time zone this is occurring in. So venue name, this is where you can say like leave at front step in cooler, or you could write knock on the door or whatever the person works best for them. And then you would just plop in the person's address, and that connects to Google Maps. And that way everybody's got the address right there in their phone when they get their reminder. So that makes it really easy to get there. So we've got that now. And then, so now we've got all those dates, right? We're looking at all of the dates and the times. And you can click the show calendar so you can see how that looks, all the dates that are available. And then we're just going to add in a sign-up list. And in this case, it can just be a simple sign-up list of meal sign-up. And we could say, I can drop off a meal for 4 people. So that way they know that it's 4 people. And I'm going to apply this list to all of the dates. And so I click apply, and that list now shows up on all of those dates.
Wow.
And,
okay. So it's literally done all at one time. I was picturing you having to go in and like do it a little more specifically for each day. Here, I do have a question though. Is there a way, so let's say I'm dropping off a meal to you. Is there a way for me to let you know what I'm bringing, or for other people to know what has already been brought? Because like, I don't want this person to get another lasagna if they've had lasagna for the last 4 days in a row. You know what I mean?
I am so happy you brought that up. So if I click on edit here for my list and I say meal sign up, I can say right here, I'll say, please tell us what you're bringing in the comments area. And then that way they won't wind up with 10 lasagnas and a lot of freezer occupation. Yeah, so you could do that like that. Please tell us what you're bringing in the comments area. And then I'll show you where that is as soon as we launch this, which I think I can go ahead and do, because there's really nothing else to do unless, again, if someone had some special considerations, I would probably put somewhere on here, like, remember, no gluten, or, whatever the issue might be.
It's very nice that you can customize that, because you want to keep triggering it with people in case they missed it last time. They're definitely somewhere along the way. That's really good. Exactly.
So you could write it in the description, but then add it in here again. And then that way too, it's going to show up again when you get your reminders, so that you're like, oh shoot, no, I don't want to make what I was going to make. No, not lasagna. They're gluten. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's really it. And then I would just click launch. And this is where I can get people's phone numbers, which I probably would here, because if they don't show up, then you'd want to be able to contact those people.
Right.
If the recipient's like, hey, it's 8:00 and no dinner is here, right. Then the organizer could give that person a call and see what's up. And at that point, it might be DoorDash. But then you can send reminders 1 to 2 days before. In this case, I think 2 days before would be great. And maybe, like 3 hours before, so that, or maybe even 4 or 5 hours before, so that if they really space out, they're definitely getting reminders with enough time to actually make the meal.
Yes, for sure.
And then
store.
Yeah. And then you just copy that link and get it out to your parishioners, out to the congregation, and say, hey, Lincoln family needs help.
I love
So it's ready to go. And once you click sign up, that's where this message comes up. So, I'm bringing lasagna. So I'm first in. So I got the lasagna spot. But yeah, people can thumb through and see what everybody else is bringing. Try not to duplicate everything.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So, and that's what it looks like.
It looks very clean, very
sign up.
simple.
Yeah, it's super easy. And that's it. They get the reminders. They're ready to go.
I also love that there's one point person, because I've seen churches play this out where the person who is receiving the meals is having to communicate with each individual person each day. And that's very overwhelming, especially if you're already in a stressful season or you have just had a surgery and you're not exactly your normal self. That just seems like a lot to manage. And then it's almost like, it's not worth it. Like, I'm good. I'll figure out how to feed myself. No thanks, which we hate because we have people willing and ready to help and to serve. And just the fact that the organizer can communicate very openly and honestly with the recipient, and it's nothing personal. If they don't want company or if they don't like, it just sort of neutralizes that.
It absolutely does. And again, right here, it could be very, very much right at the top, the family is in pain. Please give them their privacy or something like that,
Yes. And just including that on the front end, just so that the expectations are there, and people don't have to feel like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't welcome you into my home. Like, I feel so rude. They're aware of the situation. Everyone's aware of the situation. We're all on the same page. We're eliminating any of those awkward, weird situations. Exactly.
That's just an excellent point. And I'm just kind of highlighting this here as you're speaking. So we could just have that, the family's in pain, please give them their privacy. And that would always be, sort of above the fold, but they don't have to show more here.
Yes.
But you can say that in a very loving way and you're good to go. So, one last thing I'd point out, because you may have some older parishioners doing this, generally they should be able to get through this. Again, my folks are older, 84 and 90, and we always keep in mind, user experience and, ability for non-tech people to sign up, but you're still going to have some who, never look at email and that kind of thing. So as the organizer, if you needed to sign somebody else up, you just go in here and click on someone else. And I'd write Abby because Abby can't do tech, and give her email address.
Okay, so you can do it on behalf of someone else. So let's say someone catches you on Sunday morning and says, sign me up for Thursday. I'll bring a chicken, or whatever.
You're bringing filet mignon now.
I'm bringing the filet mignon. Yes, perfect. You can just put that in for me.
Yeah. So I've signed you up, and you're going to get an email confirmation for that, and you can see what that looks like, and you're all signed up, and I can see what you're bringing now.
That is super, super convenient, because you're right. You may have some people who aren't quite as tech savvy. They still want to be involved in serve, or maybe some older parishioners.
Absolutely.
I also want to highlight and point out, anytime that I have participated in something like this, it has required like multiple steps or multiple forms, or like sign up here and a delivery list somewhere else. This is all in one. Everything's in one place. Your organizer is only managing one set of data. Everything is all right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice too, now that I've signed you up, I've got this message invitees here, because now an external person is signed up. So now I can write on here, like I can pick a date, only on specific date. So let's say that the family is going to be gone on Thursday the 10th, and I can say, hey, no need to deliver a meal today.
That's
something
really
like
nice.
that.
Right.
Let them know, it's a doctor appointment or whatever. So that can go out too, and you can do it date specific. So that's super handy for the organizer, because there's no fiddling around and finding the email address for you and getting in touch with you. It's just straight through this and it's done.
super streamlined. And that would also, I feel like that could be a nice feature in terms of maybe updates, like say someone is in the hospital, everyone's like waiting to hear how the surgery went or something. You could just sort of send it out, or just send out like a thank you so much, dinner was delicious, just to make it feel more.
And all of the above. Thank you for helping. It's fantastic. Recovering beautifully. Things are looking up. Keep it up. Keep bringing the great sustenance. All of that. This is a super way to get that message out. And easy. Super easy.
Super easy.
That makes it really good too. Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, as we kind of close out here, I want to encourage you, if you don't have an organized process in place for this, I would encourage you to set one up. Definitely check out the video podcast to see how simple this is. Because the fact is, if it's already set up, if there's already a system in place, people are more likely to volunteer, right? It just makes it more easy. It makes it more simple for people.
Absolutely.
We can repeat this process, as Julie has mentioned before. We can duplicate these forms, edit them, customize them. It's all really, really easy. And it's just such a great way to connect with people and serve people.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is, again, just doing Meals on Wheels, which is separate from this entirely. Hot meals bring great joy to people.
Amen. They definitely do. Well, Julie, if our listeners are interested in learning more about how to implement this process in their church or organization, what is a good way for them to learn more or to get connected with you?
Go to app.planhero.com or planhero.com, but app.planhero.com, you'll get started right away. And we're also offering church communications fans 15% off on an annual subscription, which is already pretty inexpensive. We give you 2 months for free with that. So that's Church Comms 15. So the word church, COMMS 15, lowercase. Sorry, it's kind of long, but Church Comms, you'll remember. 15% off, you'll remember. And then we offer a 30-day free trial. So, and you don't have to put a credit card in or anything. We kind of try to treat people the way we'd like to be treated. So try us out for 30 days. And if you don't like us, there's no obligation. There's nothing you have to do afterwards, but we think you'll like us. So use that Church Comms 15.
That is fantastic. I would encourage you there's someone in your church who's hungry. There's somebody out there who's hungry right now. And this is a great way that you can meet people's needs and serve them. Julie, thank you so much for being on with me today. I think this was super important, super impactful, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Church Communications Podcast. If you want to learn more, join over 30,000 church leaders in our Facebook group at churchcommunications.com/group. If you liked today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It's the most impactful way you can help us reach more church leaders and equip them to better communicate for the church. Finally, don't forget to check out our website at churchcommunications.com. Thanks for listening.